If you consume endless productivity videos, but your productivity doesn't grow and your business is stuck as a result, let me tell you, you're most likely fighting against your own biology and losing the fight. And I learned this the hard way because in 2017, after my third burnout, I realized that most productivity advice is ineffective at best or downright dangerous at worst. So what followed is a 7-year obsession with mastering the topic of productivity and performance in business. And I eventually built a system that I've now trained more than 300 entrepreneurs with that is guaranteed to make you at least 3 times more productive, which has led our clients to skyrocketing their business revenue 2 times, 3 times, up to 10 times within a few weeks, just because they're able to identify and do 3 times more of what really matters in business. If you keep following advice like the Pomodoro technique or doing the hard things first, or all those things that don't work, you're bound to keep repeating the same mistakes. But if you master my system, I guarantee that you'll be able to do in 1 day what you previously did in 2 to 3 days. Welcome back. I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered Performance Institute for Founders. We help entrepreneurs like you scale without any burnout, procrastination, overwhelm. New to the channel, consider subscribing now to never miss out on any of the juicy stuff we publish every single week. So every productivity system that is actually helpful must follow 3 rules. First of all, it must be universal. So 0 setup required. It must work at any time, anywhere, for everybody, and be applicable to any task. 2, it has to be working with your own biological rhythm, not against it, right? Any productivity system that actually works must leverage our own brain's ability to focus, not force it to focus. Because if we force the brain, we accumulate unnecessary stress that eventually leads to burnout. And number 3, it must follow the pattern of elite performance. So elite performers, the best of the best, are not gifted. They're trained. And there's a specific rhythm they follow in order to consistently deliver at the highest level. So my system is going to literally help you mimic how elite performers actually work. And the system itself is called the ring fencing protocol. It's a turbocharged time block that leverages proven neuropsychological principles to skyrocket your focus and productivity. And it has 3 phases: preparation, performance, and recovery. In the preparation phase, the first thing you gotta do is to list all the tasks you are going to do in the day and then group them by cognitive load, right? So every writing task is grouped together. Every editing task, for instance, is grouped together. Every sales call or any type of meeting is grouped together. Every email processing or admin is bundled together. And once you have those bundles of tasks that look the same and therefore have a similar impact in the brain, then we assign them to 90-minute blocks during the day. Before we start the 90-minute, what I also recommend is that you visualize what is the end outcome of that 90-minute work session. So let's say, for instance, that you are going to be creating a new strategic plan for the following 12 months in your business. Well, you visualize what does the end result of that strategic plan looks like. And final step is to install proven flow triggers that are going to help you trigger that non-ordinary state of consciousness called a flow state. And if you want to go deep into this, we have a video right here that you can check, right? So first of all, we work in a 90-minute time block. We work on one type of task only. We visualize what is the end result of the thing they're willing to do, and we deploy our own flow triggers to have a higher chance of accessing a flow state. That is phase 1, preparation. Phase 2 is performance. So the first thing we do is we set a timer on the browser that is going to signal how much time left you have to finish that task. That is very important because it triggers urgency in the brain. It helps you focus much more intently on the task. And then you start executing. And every time you have the urge to self-distract, which you will, you notice the trigger and you let go of that urge. So every time your urge to self-distract, you notice that urge, you let it go, and you consistently focus on the task until the timer goes off at minute 90. Then finally, step number 3 is recovery. And this is the thing that most people forget about, but is the most important. Because after 90 minutes of work, your brain is exhausted. In fact, it has secreted all the neurochemicals it needs in order to sustain high focus, which is typically acetylcholine and also dopamine. So they needs time to replenish those neurochemicals. So what I recommend is that you take 30 minutes of total rest, of what I call active recovery, which implies not looking at a screen and doing some light movement, maybe breathing, meditation, eating something, drinking, hydrating, whatever, but not a screen. After 90 minutes, you're back to your second ring-fencing block of the day, ready to tackle on important work. And that is the protocol in a nutshell. First, you get ready for it, then you perform without self-distracting, and finally, you recover fully. I guarantee that if you deploy this, you will likely find out that at 7 p.m. after a full days of work, not only you will going to achieve at least 3 times more per day, but you're also going to be feeling much less tired. In fact, that's one of the things that my clients typically tell me. The psychological impact of this protocol is massive because it trains your mind to stay focused on the task. It also works on your nervous system because it prevents unnecessary stress buildup and keeps cortisol, which is the stress hormone, at bay. Now, how do you track your progress? How do you measure your performance during the day? Glad you asked. You do it in the following way. So I train my clients to basically track 2 KPIs. The first KPI is the intrinsic leverage of the task. And leverage goes from $1 sign to $4 sign. So from $10 to $10,000. Let's assume that you are an entrepreneur with a digital business right now. Very low leverage work would be anything that pertains to admin or filing your taxes or doing a task that is very far from revenue generating. And the highest leverage task will typically be taking sales calls, signing a strategic partnership, something along those lines. The more high leverage tasks that you can do every single day, the faster your business will naturally grow. So that's KPI number 1, the intrinsic leverage from the task. KPI number 2 is the focus, the engagement, how engaged they are during that ring-fence session, how many times are they able to resist the urge of self-distracting. So the ideal day is to spend it in high leverage tasks with full focus. And the final grading system goes like this. Most entrepreneurs, most of you watching this, can typically sustain about 90 to 120 minutes of focus across a full day. So one ring-fence session would be an average performance for our clients. 2 ring-fence sessions, so 3 hours of solid, high-intensity, no distractions work is already good, is already kind of double what most people get. 3 ring-fence sessions per day, which accounts for about 4.5 hours every single day, is already great. And this is what we train our clients to do, to scale their business within typically 4 to 5 hours every single day. That's it. That is 3 ring-fence sessions. And anything above 4 ring-fence session is elite. Is something very few people are able to get there. Only those typically that are trained by us, right? Now, understand that there are performance fluctuations. Someday you're going to be hitting 5, some days you're going to be hitting 1. The goal is that you never work more than, let's say, 15 or 16 ring-fence sessions per week in order to consistently grow your business. So this is the ring-fencing protocol. It goes against most mainstream productivity advice, and I guarantee that it's going to really change the course of your career. Now, we've compiled a few common questions that typically get asked in our community about the method in hopes that it really clarifies it even further. If I don't mention something that's on your head, put in the comments so I can address it. The first FAQ is why 90 minutes? Well, since the 1950s, we know that there's this thing called ultradian cycles. So cycles that happen within the day for the human brain. And that is natural ebb and flow of energy throughout the day. So by limiting our focus windows to 90 minutes, we can fully ride the wave of energy. And when our energy starts crashing, which is natural, we stop working. So we can activate the healing response of the brain. Question number 2 is, how is this different from the Pomodoro technique? Well, the Pomodoro technique is arbitrary. It tells you to work for 25 minutes and then rest for 5 minutes, which goes against, as I just covered, the brain's natural cycles. But not only that, because the ring fencing protocol emphasizes recovery. Recovery is just as important as exertion. If you do not recover well, you won't sustain peak performance. And it also gives a longer window for you to focus. So the Pomodoro technique, the problem it has, it keeps you permanently distracted because the average brain these days takes about 23 minutes to fully focus on a task. So if you interrupt yourself every 25 minutes, you're never really accessing any deep state of focus and, of course, no flow states at all. So FAQ number 3, what happens if you finish early? Well, that's good because it means that you miscalculated your skill level or the difficulty of the task. So if the task was easier than you thought it was going to be, that means that you can tackle a higher difficulty task for the following ring fencing block. So you're building up your ability to tackle increasingly complex tasks. FAQ number 4, what about communication? Well, communication, sending emails, Slack, or dealing with clients, that is its own task. So I recommend having specific blocks to tackle this. Ideally, right before starting the day, at the end of the day, and somewhere in the middle. And I'm hearing what you're thinking right now, but what if my client needs me at the moment? Well, let me tell you, your client is much less interested in getting an immediate response as he is in getting a high quality, thoughtful response and work. And that is a function of deep work. So there's no emergency that cannot wait 90 minutes to be handled. FAQ number 5 is what about meetings? Well, meeting is just another type of work. So what I like to do is I keep the meetings to a minimum, ideally 15 minutes per meeting, and I schedule them back to front to protect my high quality hours, which typically happen in the morning for the most important work. But I try to tackle as many meetings as I can within a 90-minute work session. Next FAQ is how do I handle distractions? Well, very simple. You jot them down. Notice what is the source of the distractions and you try to remove them as much as you can from the environment. So you tell your teammates you're going to be going to a ring fence session. You tell everybody around you to not disturb, and you do not pay attention to anything that is not the task you have in front of you. And finally, what happens if I cannot sustain 90-minute focus? That's okay. It just means that you must focus on this focus muscle in order to grow your career. Because no matter how talented and skilled you are, if you cannot consistently do deep work and create high quality work, you will not move forward. So 90-minute focus blocks is the number one bottleneck for your business. At Selfmastered, we train our clients to scale their business working 3 ring fence sessions per day on average, which is about 4.5 to 5 hours every single day. That should be enough. That is, in fact, 3 times more than the average person ever gets. So in essence, elite performance is not about grinding hard, hustling all day and pushing the envelope. No, it's about strategically choosing your efforts and working with your own biology, not against it. I promise that if you leverage this protocol, you'll be able to do in one day what you previously did in 2, 3, even 5 days. You want to go deep into how to, consistently apply protocols like this to grow your business like crazy. Apply for our program. See you in the next video.